Okay, we have an equal number of politicians and non-politicians tonight. It's not an attempt to reduce politicians to the minority. Politicians first. Madhukar Jaitley of the Samajwadi Party. Mr. Jaitley, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Kuwar Danish Ali, National General Secretary of the JDS. Danish Ali, good evening. Good evening, can you hear me? Mr. Ali. Okay, we'll try and get everyone in. Kirit Somaya, are you there, sir? Let's get you on the screen at least.
Yes,
Mr. Somaya, good evening. I can't see you, but I can hear you. And Sanjay Jha will be joining us in some time. I don't know where all my guests disappeared. There you are, Mr. Somaya. Good evening. And taking them on today.
Only in front of you.
And taking them on today, on the other side is Sudhir Tailang. He's a well-known cartoonist. He'll be joining us from Delhi. Mr. Tailang, good evening. Ashish Shakya. He's a stand-up comedian, a humor columnist.
Good evening, Arnav.
Good to see you, Ashish. Good to see all of you people in real life, Ashish.
Good evening.
And Suresh Menon. Why does Suresh Menon make you laugh? I don't know. Suresh Menon is famous as a person who has made appearances on several TV shows, and he also does a good act on me. Suren Sundaram of Radio Mirchi, thank you very much. He's an RJ of Radio Mirchi. Abhinandan Sikri, good evening. Let's get all of you on the screen in one shot if we can. Thank you very much. Okay, who do we start with? Abhinandan, why do you think these politicians are so touchy about jokes now?
Yeah. Okay, one thing I'd like to just start by saying, you called Jaya Bachchan a serious neta. I'm not so sure about that. But I don't think it's about sense of humor. You see, humor is about equality. You know, humor is the acknowledgement of equality. You can only make a joke at someone who's an equal. Like, if I make a joke at a little child who falls flat on his face, I'm cruel, I'm mean. And a joke at someone way beyond his insolence.
Yeah.
Humor is acknowledgement of equality.
Right.
And equality is something our netas are very unused to. And why they are so unused to it is because if you have ever interacted, I've interacted with enough bureaucrats and netas, as I'm sure you have, I have never seen any class of people who can oscillate between such servility towards those superior to them as in the party high command and such arrogance and rudeness towards others who are the Aam Aadmi. So any mind that has to oscillate between this power dynamic cannot comprehend rationally power dynamics, and humor is all about power dynamics, which is why they have such warped views on humor. I think it's ridiculous what Jaya Bachchan said. And one thing, I mean, this is a cheap shot, I wouldn't have taken it, but just today I saw the promo of her son's film, Happy New Year, in which he uses, in the promo, there's a usage of a word that very eloquently talks, it's one word that encapsulates the Oedipus complex. It begins with a mother. Now, I don't know if she thinks that's in good humor. Not that I'm saying anything is wrong with it, but I'm saying that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying he's welcome to do that. No. But your intent is not about good taste. Your intent is about trying to hack equality, because humor is about equality.
Okay. Now, when you make a joke of Parliament, Mr. Somaya, why can't we joke on you?
Nobody has objected.
No, why can't we mimic you?
I think, and you will also listen me. First of all, arrogance of anybody, everybody, politician also. The politician should be the first. And let me tell you, the arrogancy of the politician or ill behavior. I don't think any politician, good politician, will support any ill behavior in Parliament or outside. We strongly criticize. But let me also add one more thing. Joking, rumor of anybody, including politician, is to be welcome, is to be appreciated. But simultaneously, if somebody, if asked whether we will try to consider, whether we will think to consider the level of rumor, if there is any double meaning.
No, who decides the level of humor?
Okay.
No, should we have a special category of humor for MPs? Ashish Shakya, should we have a special category for humor for MPs? Should,
Yeah, this.
Should, no, one second. 1 minute. Hear the other side today. I want the politicians. I want those others to speak as well.
It's so ridiculous that It's so ridiculous that we're getting a lecture on double meaning from somebody who works in Bollywood, and B, can we just please take a moment to appreciate the fact that we've spent half the day wasting time discussing about an MP's feelings that got hurt. I mean, I'm sure there are more important things to talk about. I mean, and as a comedian, let me just say that, just to add to what Abhinandan said about comedy being an equalizer, there's a basic cardinal rule in comedy: you always strike up, which is why people will make jokes about politicians, because it is literally the only thing we can do. It is the only form of expression that we have left. So for a politician to say, no, I'm hurt, I'm sorry, go change the channel. You know, it's not that difficult. Like the Chief Justice or somebody, there was a judgment regarding the film PK, wherein basically the judge recently said that if you don't like it, don't watch it. It is essentially the same thing.
So what happened to Jaya Bachchan, Madhukar Jetli? Have you told her to not be so serious about these issues? And what was she complaining about? Have you had a chat with her?
No, let me tell you, Arnav, one thing. First of all, let me tell you, this issue which you are trying to raise is being blown beyond a proportion.
Why is it blown out of proportion? You have the minister standing up and taking notice of it. Was she joking when she spoke in Parliament? Was she joking when she spoke in Parliament? Sir, 1 minute. When MPs... Sir, 1 minute.
Let me say.
Sir, let me
Either you say or let me say.
No, I'll just say one thing and then you say. I have seen MPs, they are grabbing each other by their collars. You remember September 2012, the kind of sarak chap fight that happened between the Samajwadi Party and the BSP, in which your SP MP Naresh Agarwal and some Akhtar Singh Karimpuri were fighting. You know, like goons on a street would not fight. You remember that fight? Now, if somebody makes a joke about that, should that person be arrested? Tell me, Mr. Jetli, what are you irritated about? What's the real reason?
Let me answer you first, Arnab. Let me tell you. Have patience to listen to me.
I have complete patience.
See what Mrs. Bachchan has... let me tell you. Mrs. Bachchan has not raised an issue about herself. What she has said is about the complete institution of Parliament, the way the RJs and the way the big fat anchors on the television and also on the other section of the media tried to do mimicry to the extent of teasing the members of the Parliament.
There you are. There you are. You don't like it. No, I like this. This is the confessional moment of the news. This is the confessional moment of the news. No, I always suspected it. No, I suspected it, Mr. Jetli, and you revealed it. Didn't he reveal it? The real issue is not just some RJs mimicking you. You don't like any criticism. You think the moment you...
There is a level, there is a difference between...
Really?
He has said that I welcome satire.
Yeah.
He has said that I welcome satire. And let me tell you...
Sir, I want to crack a joke. I want to crack a joke. Am I going to be allowed to crack a joke?
She has not said that we don't. She has not said that she doesn't accept jokes. She says that there is a level where you have to draw the line. Who is going to make those RJs accountable?
You see
who
what
is going to make those RJs accountable?
Who are you to decide it? Mr. Jetli, who are you to decide?
Who is going to decide?
Who's going?
Who are you going to decide?
Who are you to decide it?
No, but are you going to decide?
You go to Parliament and do your job. You do your job.
No, don't say all this. Don't say all this.
What did Jaya Bachchan say? What did Jaya Bachchan say? In fact, I'm going to tell you what I am going to tell you more.
The entire Samajwadi Party supports her.
Really?
She has raised a very valid point.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, why don't you say that? Why don't you say you also want action taken and this pepper spray MP who insulted all of us want that person removed? Why didn't you say that we want Naresh Agarwal sacked? Why don't you say we want Naresh Agarwal sacked from your party? Why don't you say?
Then may I ask you?
Yes, ask.
Then may I ask you that when you showed the picture of Mr. Obama in the beginning of the program, how many times has the Indian media raised an issue like the Watergate scandal in which the President of the United States had to resign? What is your level of discussion?
Mr. Jetli, Mr. Madhukar Jetli, CWG scam, 2G scam, Devas ISRO scam.
I'm saying, where
Colgate, Armsgate,
how many times?
How many scams? You know the problem with you is, Mr. Jetli, you have this big American complex. The problem with you is, Mr. Jetli, don't teach me journalism. You do your job, don't teach me my job.
You showed the photograph of Mr. Obama comparing the American president.
Yes, I did show the picture of Mr. Obama because Mr. Obama Mr. Obama thinks he's a human being. You people think you are another species.
That only Mr. Nixon had to resign on the Watergate scandal. How many times has the Indian media played so serious and so responsible that the president of the country had to resign?
Mr. Jaitley, first of all, I have a piece of advice. No, one second. I want to tell you something. First of all, you people learn to behave yourself. When people are dying in your state...
I learned myself. You also learn.
Now you listen, Mr. Jaitley. थोड़ा अपना अहंकार कम कीजिए.
मेरा बिल्कुल कम है.
बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया आपका अहंकार.
No, I am less than you.
No, Mr. Jaitley, I think it's time for you to hear back from us. I'll say one thing, Mr. Jaitley. You know what I think is a joke, but I'll tell you something that's a cruel joke. Can I give you an example of a cruel joke? When Mr. Madhukar Jaitley's party, I'll tell you two cruel jokes. One of the BJP, one from the Congress and one from the Samaj. The cruelest joke from Samajwadi Party is people are dying, children are dying of cold after the riots in Uttar Pradesh. And what does their Manyavar Mukhyamantri and his father do? आप सुनिए तो आप item numbers देखने जाते हैं अपने constituency में. You go to listen to item numbers. You made a joke of politics. You made a I'm questioning you. People will question you. People will question you. You can bat for Jaya Bachchan. People will reject you. Now let's get some views from here. And RJ who wants to speak up tonight. What is Mr. Shakya holding up? Mr. Shakya, you know I am 1 second please.
He says, guy, relax.
What are you holding up? You see, I like this. You see, the thing is, I love this. What he said, guys, please relax.
I was just very amused.
Good. We have. You caught my attention.
I was just very amused by the level of outrage that was going on.
I tell you one thing.
I was just very amused by the level of outrage going on about this whole incident. About especially it's so simple. You don't need RJs or comedians or writers or cartoonists to make a mockery out of Parliament when our leaders do it so well themselves.
Yeah.
We are mere imitations where the poorest form of flattery is what we're doing, and it's literally the least thing we can do.
No, I'll tell you something.
I don't even see why there's so much anger.
No. 1 second. Mr. Shakya, now let me say something.
This is like a David versus Goliath battle.
Don't. I don't see why they're going on about it. I'll tell you. Don't underestimate what you're doing. Because I must say this, that in what many of you satirists and humorists and stand-up comedians do, is that in your own way, you take the discussion forward on many popular platforms. You reach out to a lot of people. I'm only saying tonight, these politicians better learn to handle it, right? That's the only point. Yeah, go ahead. Then I'll come to you. Yeah.
I just have one thing
You have questions to ask them? Anything?
I might just offend them, which is what I'm worried about.
As long as the language is not extreme.
It's not a spoof either.
Yes.
Well, the only thing that I had to say was that at around 3 o'clock, when I started watching the news, I was actually laughing when this comment actually came up that RJs use foul language, RJs spoof various people, especially MPs. What I have to say is that there are so many comedy shows that are scripted. When I actually watch what is happening in the Parliament, sometimes it pains me. Yeah. And then I'm also thinking that if these are the people that we elected and they're throwing paper and they're wasting it and they're saying all sorts of things, they're fighting. I actually remember there was a clip that was being watched in the Parliament. If that is not going to be spoofed, if I put every listener that I am probably here because of, if I put every listener, he's going to talk about the same thing. How many people are you going to stop? How many people are you going to stop from...
Exactly. So you think it's about curbing freedom of expression actually, isn't it?
It's not curbing freedom of expression unless you are telling me that I'm actually insulting somebody or I'm making defamatory remarks. If I can self-regulate my thoughts, knowing that there are 30 lakh people listening in at any given point of time, if I'm okay with that, making responsible views, why should anybody have a problem?
And who is Jaya Bachchan? Who is Jaya Bachchan to decide what is palatable or not palatable? Sanjay Jha, who is she?
Also, Arnab, just
what is her special right?
I want to make one point.
No, what is her special right?
Arnab,
Arnab. To determine that. And for God's sake, Sanjay, at least on this, take a contrarian view. However difficult it may be for you.
No, it's not. I want to tell you by a very uncanny coincidence, and it's truly uncanny. I'm coming right now to your studio, which is why I got late from attending a stand-up comedy act of probably one of India's best stand-up comedians. You can imagine who it is. I was attending a Veer Das show.
Yes.
And he started by actually doing a spoof on senior leaders of the BJP, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. And in the audience of around 2,000 people, I'm sure people voted for all three parties. But when the jokes happened, everybody laughed at all the jokes and all the politicians. I think in India, the Indian political fraternity needs to change and understand that you can't be so, waspish or hypersensitive and touchy and testy when there are jokes on you. I think it is a way of trying to actually appreciate that we got quirky and eccentric traits in us.
Can I clap for you, Mr. Sanjay Jha?
That's a reality.
Can I clap for you and then proceed to expose you?
I mean that.
Can I
really
clap
mean
for
that,
you and
Arnab.
then proceed to expose you?
I genuinely mean that, Arnab.
Can I please do that? No, Mr. Sanjay Jha, I love this.
I want to tell you something else.
Mr. Jha, जरा एक मिनट.
Arnab, just
जरा
one
एक
last
मिनट
point.
सुन लीजिए.
Arnab, just
नहीं
one
सुन
last
लीजिए.
point.
नहीं, 1 second.
One last
Mr.
point.
Jha.
Interestingly, Veer Das did a spoof on you and me. And I can tell you that my wife sitting next to me was actually laughing like I've never seen her do in a long time.
Yeah.
So the truth of life is that we all need to appreciate that there is a sense of humor that actually makes a public discourse get a little more intellectual content. It's not just funny. It's an intellectual content.
Mr. Jha, you make me so happy that many viewers and make viewers so happy. You are in the populist race tonight. If many people will say, make Sanjay Jha the president of the Congress party for a day. Or maybe actually, sorry, I forgot. Maybe more appropriately, the vice president. A more active vice president. Oh, anyway. Don't go to sleep, Mr. Jha. Wake up. Yes. Now the question is, Mr. Jha, my question is simply this. A restaurant poked fun at the UPA's tax policy on its bill. You remember this happened in Mumbai?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I think we should remind Sanjay Jha because he just gave a nice little cute speech. A restaurant poked fun at the UPA's tax policy on the bill. The Congress party proceeded to the joke by sending the Youth Congress there to vandalize the place and force it down. What hypocrisy is Mr. Jha talking about? Come on.
Absolutely.
No, 1 second. Here. Don't give me these double standards, Sanjay Jha. No, Mr. Jha. I let you make your speech and now I let Suresh Menon make his speech.
Firstly, I think Arnab having me here on the show.
1 minute.
In all democracies, we are a progressive liberal society. We need to appreciate the fact that actually having humor is a great way of a public interaction. So I think politicians need to be a little less intolerant of these kind of jokes. And by the way, to Mrs. Jaya Bachchan, it's a Hindi movies that actually mocks politicians much more than an RJ or a stand-up comedy does.
One second. I gave you an example of what the Congress party did. You should go to a restaurant called Aditi Pure Veg and go and ask them that 30 gundas from the Congress party came and broke the whole place down.
That was wrong.
Broke the whole place down because somebody on the bill had questioned the prices under the UPA regime. Don't preach one thing and do another. Suresh Menon's turn. Don't censor the free media. He's also a part of it.
Please let me speak.
Yeah.
India needs answers tonight. I think the politicians have got a very good way to circumvent all these things by saying, oh, that was a spontaneous reaction when they went and broke up things over there. But we are all for humor. Firstly, the best joke of the day is that in the parliament, when people are dying, women are still being molested in our country, we are talking, hey, the RJs are cracking jokes on MPs, and that has to be raked up. And let's talk about this today.
Yeah.
Let's do something good for the nation. What RJs are talking about MPs, they're doing mimicry on MPs, and that's the thing that the nation needs answers tonight. I don't think it's fair. And if Ashish was right when he said that, you need humor to cut across to the common man and say that, okay, fine, we are going through a lot of crisis right now, but let's laugh about things.
Yeah.
And it's really not laughing matter. What happened with the cop earlier part of the day?
Look at that.
Astounding.
Look at that.
Astounding. And nobody thought about talking about that. Mrs. Jaya Bachchan should have been talking about that cop. And as Arnab rightly said, I hope the cop gets a medal tomorrow.
I hope he does.
Seriously, I
hope he does.
We should come together as one and fight for this. Not about RJs cracking jokes.
Today, two images come to my mind actually. On the one side, there is a policeman. I put it back to back, and you know what? It's very interesting. It's trending worldwide today, that whole trend of super cop today. All of India, two images come to my head, Suresh, as you speak. One of that policeman risking his life. He has a family. He may have children. He may have parents. He's risking his life while sitting on the bonnet of that car. And there is this so utterly
frivolous.
frivolous and super serious attempting to look Jaya Bachchan, who says, I don't find jokes about MPs palatable.
Madam, I have
It's
one
so
question.
bad. Go ahead. Who's your question for?
Suresh, no, actually Suresh, I'm a huge fan of because Suresh actually spoofs Sachin a lot.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering, during the 2011 World Cup, when every cricketer was going on saying that we won the World Cup for Sachin,
Yeah.
on radio we actually thought what Sachin has to say because we never heard what Sachin had to say except during the World Cup ceremonies.
Point is taken.
So now I'm wondering, can we speak about Sachin because he's also an MP? Are we allowed to speak about it?
I don't know,
Can
Sachin.
you go get it?
Why?
you go get it?
You see, you understand, Mr. Danish Ali, this is not going to change.
To add to that point about jokes about MPs,
No, look at all the politicians today. They are so serious on my
to
program.
add to that point about jokes,
They are so serious on my program here today. Danish,